Hey guys, good morning. I always try to narrow down my trading to two or three stocks. Just look at the market in general. I always start top down. Um, I think the small caps I've been saying for months are going to be the place to be, and it's turned out to be pretty accurate. And obviously, a big part of the small caps is speculation, and there's a huge segment of this market's a bubble. But I don't try to fight the theme of the market, and right now the theme of the market is to buy the dips until that changes. I try to avoid being short, even though fundamentally I think the market's in a little bit of a weird spot here. Yesterday's trade of the day, my pick was NARA, just because I thought Bitcoin had been so far beaten down. Today I'm looking at BABA for a potential reversal. Also, like when I look at stocks, I look at top down too. I think that BABA just ran too far, and I was shorting it up here on the Jack Ma news, and then now you're getting down. When I say top down, I'm looking at daily, and then I go into hourly. So your hourly chart, you're looking at a little bit of a crossover on the negative side of the MACD, but you are getting close to an oversold condition on the RSI. So once we go into the hourly, we can go from hourly to 20 minutes and kind of figure out. You'll see how that changes a little bit. When we look at a 20-minute chart, the RSI is not so oversold. So we need to be a little bit patient on BABA in here, but it has some kind of a little bit of a linear trajectory to the upside. And then maybe this has been enough of a sell-off. So just keep an eye on it for an intraday reversal. Let me see where we're at today, intraday on BABA. We're looking for shape change, so we're not chasing stuff up here. Kind of want to see where things settle in. SPY looks like it has a lot of support around the 381 area. I'm lightly short S&P 500 right here, but more as a hedge. I haven't decided whether I'm going to cover yet this morning, but we're kind of creeping higher, and it leads me to think that I probably should cover. One of my lines that I have for support, I was hoping would hit, and I would have covered. We came really close. Next time I got to be a little bit more, I guess, less greedy, I'd say. So Mara, like I said yesterday, was my pick based on Bitcoin, and what a beautiful chart yesterday on Mara intraday. That's what made my money yesterday. And you can kind of see I did not expect that last move there, but when we pulled back up here and then broke through this little trend line and started trending again, I bought. My second buy was right here, which was pretty spot on. These are 5-minute charts, but I was using 1 minutes for a while. I don't know, I like to use 1 minute, and then later in the day I go to 5. But I did catch this move up here and started to sell in pieces as we hit the top line, expecting it to pull back, but when it broke through I kept holding, and then I think I sold the rest of my position there. I did not expect it to get to 19. My target price was actually 18.80, but I didn't want to hold out for the extent of the move, especially when it started to pull back in here. That was a pretty decent pullback. So I'll be watching this as well, because it kind of does move with Bitcoin, and now we're ramping up again. But I just don't feel comfortable chasing it, because I do think there's pretty decent resistance at 19. If it breaks through there, it could have another move to it, to the upside. I did buy this morning in pre-market OBLN, but I already sold it. So I probably left some money on the table when I hit my line there. And the reason I like this, because on the 1-year daily, damn, I sold that way too early. On the 1-year daily, let me clear the drawing set on here. I'm always keeping a list of stocks that have these massive runs and then pull back. And when they pull back on days where the market opens up negative, they always seem to be great low risk buys. Let me clear this drawing set out here. And this was one of them. Just the pullback from 1077 down to 5 seemed pretty significant. I wonder what it looks like if we run a Fibonacci on there. And if Fibonacci is just a simple way to tell me where the equilibrium is at between bulls and bears, and it often really works. So look at it kind of finding support at the 23.6, around 466. I think my entry was 470 something last night, and then I sold it this morning. But you can see how this is, now we're probably going to have some resistance around 675, where the bulls and the bears are going to square up, 50% retracement. So don't be afraid to use Fibonacci's through any part of the day, even intraday. I do try to trade GME, but it's so crazy. I use big lots, and this is so GME. Don't get me wrong here. This is where the market gets wonky. There's really no fundamental reason for GameStop to be up here. Um, this is a huge day trading stock and a huge speculative stock. And if you look at the company, I think they're valued at how many shares are out there? Let me see. Market cap is $3 billion. They lose $4 a share. So 69 million shares. Do the math. 69 million times $4. That's what they're losing. If someone told you, hey, I can give you a company, you have $3 billion to buy a company. Here's GameStop. Are you interested in giving away your $3 billion? Or would you rather keep your cash? And the answer, I'm sure, for 99.9% of people would be that they'd rather keep their cash. So why would you invest in a company long term if you'd rather keep your cash? Because it's moving, right? So psychologically, we want to buy stuff that's moving to the upside, and that's the reason GameStop is moving. Other than a massive short squeeze with a bunch of big traders trying to figure where the top is and hoping this thing comes unwind like things used to in the past, but things aren't coming unwound like they used to in the past. Okay, they're just not. I mean, stocks like BNGO. Look at these. These are stocks that everybody's looking to replicate these moves. What's the next dollar stock that goes to $10? And like I've been saying, there's more 10 baggers in this market than I've ever seen. But yeah, I'm not opposed to being part of the crowd and trading stuff like GameStop intraday. Hell yeah. But I need to be, see, I like the setup here. It's a little bit better now. It's pulled back. But I'll look for shape change intraday. I mean, if you look at yesterday, you can tell that I traded it yesterday because there's some marks on my screen there. So yeah, I'm looking for these wild, moves to kind of tighten, and then I'll play the breakout. I'm looking for these wedge consolidations because I'm using decent sizes. So I'm looking for these kind of shape changes that we see. There's a couple in here, I guess you'd say, from this wedge breakdown in here. You can kind of zoom in and see what we're looking at. This is your pivot breakdown from this channel upward. These are 1 minute charts. And then obviously when you retouch here, you expect a pullback. But when it blows through and the MACD crosses to the top side and you get this big volume spike, that's the kind of stuff we're looking for intraday. So we want to see the buyers and sellers get scared here and get washed out. The sellers come in, and then I'll play that move to the upside. And I'm just looking for CHOP. Yeah, CCIV is another one that's been good. Pre-market. Yeah, let's look at CCIV. I've traded this before. It's probably... So we'll add that one to the watch list too. I think I tried to buy some of this. I always try to get like a very small position so that I put it on my list so I don't forget it. So I'll buy 50 shares or something, 100 shares just to actually I was in this. You know what I did yesterday? I had a small position in this. I sold this and bought BFT like an idiot. Of course I sold this at the wrong time. It just wasn't, and it was hitting a consolidation area. Look at the 1 year daily. It's probably why I sold it. It kind of stalled out and I was getting frustrated. I thought I could pull back a little bit into the upper 16s, I think, and that's what I was trying to be cute. Yeah, interesting move. I mean, have we cleared the base of the candle on the daily? No. So you're going to have resistance, obviously, around 1870. So if we get above 1870, it might get some juice. But that wick was pretty severe, so I don't expect a huge continuation move. It could have an inside day within that wick there. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff this morning for kind of like a quiet day. There's a couple that look interesting, so we'll keep an eye on that one. We'll see where that lines up intraday on our chart. Yeah, we kind of pushed through there. You can see that's where the equilibrium comes in. Yeah, that was kind of frustrating. So Apple seems to be holding up well. I might trade that intraday. BNGO seems to be holding up well. OBLN, I sold. NEO, I was watching another show just to get ideas. I like to watch stuff on YouTube. And someone said, well, why is NEO not down today when the market's down? Yeah, Intel might be good because Intel has a theme to it where we have a new CEO coming in, and then obviously we didn't think the earnings were going to be great anyway. I was going to short it. So yeah, Intel could be a turnaround where everybody that wanted to get into it, they want to chase it into earnings, could get into Intel. So yeah, Intel's on my list today. I might nibble longer term, but I might trade it because that's where my mindset is right now, day trading more than buying and holding. But Neo, someone was like, well, why is Neo up today? Well, look where Neo came from. I mean, Neo had a big sell off from $67, a 10-point move, and now it's kind of finding some footing in here. It's held a double bottom, so why would it not be up? And there's a little battle between 59 and 57 on Neo, and Neo might be one that I trade today as well. I'm gonna have to wait for the right setup, and then I'll go see. You can see a little battle in here on Neo. It's probably going to be somewhere from the pivot breakdown here of 59 and this little buying down here around 57 that we see. Actually, it's a little bit lower, but we'll call it 57 because it doesn't spend much time. Time is a huge factor in trading too. How much time do stocks spend under certain levels? And like you can look at Plug the other day. Plug is always a good candidate to buy on weakness for now. I think it over time it works itself lower and lower over time. I think this is a $30-$40 stock, but right now, these things, like I said, they take time to kind of work themselves out. But look at that big tail on Plug the other day. That was like a lot of buying volume once it hit 57, and that tells you strength in a stock, and then you can see the big move from there. But over time, it was more comfortable coming down and retesting that area. So I think over time you'll continue to go lower and lower in Plug, but you're going to have some wild swings intraday to the upside. And if Plug continues to hold this area, it might go try to retest that old high. So I don't try to dictate where the stocks go. Let the market tell me. I don't on fundamentals alone. I hate Plug, but there's no doubt this chart is holding up here, especially when the body of the candle is still holding above 60. So close below 60, I'd be a little bit more bearish, but other than that, Plug is kind of hanging in there. So not too. So yesterday we had a a IPO come out. So I love trading the IPOs. This one looks a little bit interesting. It's got a theme to it, Dream Finders, and you can see the trajectory on this move yesterday that it had. So it might have another move today. My target would be like 23. You can see the move yesterday, and bear with me because these are choppy 20-minute charts, but I mean it's got an upward bias for sure, and you know how these IPOs are, so we could see some interesting moves in DFH. Support right now is around 20, but I'd love to buy it closer to like 1930, 1940. EV theme, XL falling wedge. Is it XL that I sold this morning? I did. I sold XL in a pre-market at like 2050, I think. And I like this company too. Yeah, I did sell XL this morning. I bought some and sold it. My pick for the EV is a stock that I still own, BYDDF, as my pick in the ETF sector for the longer term. BYDDF. There's only a handful of these I think are going to make it out of this. I think Neo will. I think QuantumScape. What prices they'll make it out, I don't know. I mean, QuantumScape doesn't even make any money yet, but QuantumScape has a strong fundamental theme, theme I guess behind it. And that was one that we sold. I don't know, 80s, 90s, and I felt like I left money on the table when it went to 130, but no, I looked pretty smart. I mean, I don't like the way it made a lower low, but it did fill the gap here around 44. So you might see some support, and now we're 5 points above the gap fill, so I'm not really sure. This might be a little bit too wild for me intraday. Although I do like some of the action that I saw. I like when you see a stock kind of sell off and then have a huge move back up. These are stuff that I like to buy on dips. Because when you break the intraday high after a big downward draft, the next pullback is probably going to be a good buying opportunity. And once again, those are areas that I sometimes use like a Fibonacci on and kind of say where's the equilibrium from that high to the low. And you'll notice that usually somewhere around that 50% mark, right in here, 50% is where the bulls and bears decide which way this thing's going to go. And when you have a move like that, it looks a little bit more bullish. So that's the kind of stuff we're looking for, to buy it at 46 and sell it at 51, at the 1618 extension. So even intraday, Fibonacci's can be used. And you can see once it broke through the old high, it was off to the races. and then we'd probably sell it at the 1618 extension. So don't be afraid to use Fibonacci's. Fibonacci's people think are just useful, for 1 year day, 1 year dailies and 5 year charts and 3 year charts. But you can use them intraday. And like I said, we're just trying to figure out where the equilibrium is between the buyers and the sellers intraday, where the psychology might change, who's going to win the battle. The tug of war at the 50% mark, and this obviously was won by the bulls. So what else are we looking at this morning? Like I said, Apple looked surprisingly strong. I don't know if it was something that Intel said. Intel looks interesting. I did not chase this giant move in Intel because I was actually shocked at this move in Intel. So where would we want to buy Intel at, man? This is going to be tricky. It's going to be really tricky. We're at 59 now. The pivot bake brace was right around 58.70. I don't know. Can Intel just like hold in this wedge here, It looks like it put like a hangman candle up in there. What does that look like intraday? I don't even know where that line is intraday. It's further down. I don't know. Sometimes Thinkorswim skews these lines, but I kind of would like to see a little bit more of a washout in Intel because I don't know how much upward air I have. Resistance would be around 61, I guess. And the reason I'm saying 61 is because that's where this broke out and left a lot of people stranded around 60.80. So if 60.80 is my top target and my bottom is 58.30, like I need to have a little bit of wiggle room so I can get a proper risk reward. Another ETF that, there's a couple this morning, not ETF, IPOs that I'm looking at. And IPOs have been great to trade. And since the market's kind of weird right here, we look like we're a little bit tired on this buy. I probably should have covered my short there. It doesn't mean that we're not buying the dips. It just looks tired. Could Intel break 55 today? No, I don't think so. If that's what you're asking. I would doubt that. I kind of think gold is starting to bottom out in here. I've stepped away from gold for a while, and it looks a little bit interesting here. So I might be watching JNUG on the pullbacks. Here is a SPAC that looks like it's holding up well, Ajax. I don't know what to tell you. I have a couple hundred shares of it. I was looking to add to it. It just seems to be holding up in this market here. So we've cleared the body-based candle on here, and now we're looking to push above the 1232, which we've already done pre-market, but the big spreads there don't really confirm much, and the volume is sort of lackluster at 30,000. But this looks like an interesting chart. And above 1241, this looks really strong because that was the last area of this shape change before we had the pullback. So now to get above 1241 on a close looks interesting for Ajax. It really wanted to move and got a little bit out of control to the upside there, but now it's digesting and consolidating and building more power. So I like this reversal here on huge volume, the upward bias. The pullback was on low volume right here. I like that. A high volume spike with a higher low. And now, so this is one to keep an eye on. AJAX would be one to watch. I like the fundamentals too, from what I remember. So Mara looks interesting. MARA. Do I want to become famous? No. Mara looks interesting. Let me see what else looks interesting on my watch list. Why do I write down DCBO? For some reason, I wrote down DCBO this morning. And then I gotta do a quick workout. Yikes. Why would I write that? Oh, I had a big gap reversal. I don't know. Forget about that one. But there are two IPOs that I'm interested in, and they are... Actually, one was from yesterday I was supposed to open up, and it didn't. So let's keep an eye on RLX, Robert Larry X-Ray this morning. And let's also, because that could be interesting, it's a vape company, a Chinese vape company. I think the China stocks are kind of hot right now. That's why I'm looking at BABA for a potential reversal today. And let's look at MNTK, Mary Nancy Tom Kilo. and HUDI, I believe, was the one. Huadi International. Yeah, let's keep an eye on those three. And I'll be back in a little bit. No fan things. That's right. Who are these people that... I don't understand that. It's bullshit. Hijacking people's stuff. Alright, so yeah, that'll be it for this morning. Those look interesting. So OBLM looks interesting. NEO has support in here. BNGO's got some strength. I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous of that. BNGO, BABA. And what else is going nuts this morning? Let's see what the big movers are. NASDAQ, BNGO. ADMP could be interesting too. Adamas Pharmaceuticals. Man, I sold OBLM too early. Seller's regret, man. Yeah, it is bought. So it looks... I don't know what's worse, losing money or selling too early. They're both painful, right? Like, what's worse? And why does SCYX... That's popping up on my scanner. SCYX. This must be a low flow. When you see moves like this, Jesus Christ. What's the 1 year look like? A reverse split, obviously. 60 cents to $7. So it did a 1 to 10 reverse. I don't know. It's above this area here. It's got to be news. SCYX. What I look for too on these like little crazy gappers is price history at higher levels, and this is a reverse split, so I don't know. This one looks a little sketchy to me. I don't know if I'm chasing that. I swear to God, Naked Brands makes the freaking high volume list every freaking day. ADMP looks interesting, and let's leave it at that. Intel, possible reversal. BABA looks interesting. I know it's a high price. OBLN, Mara, but I need a little wiggle room because I can't chase this into that 19 area. Although, see, the reason I loved Mara was this huge pullback from 28 to 16. How could you not like that? All with the Bitcoin move. I love stocks that are like really hot, you know. And then here's like a little downward trajectory channel. So if you break above there, I think your sell would be like 1970 on Mara. But it's already had a big move intraday. So something like, look at that, it's channeling right between my old trend lines. How bizarre is that? If your lines are accurate, they really work intraday. Look at that. Even after extended hours, these lines come into play. Let's see if it pulls back here on Mara. It's not shortable though. It's probably going to pull back in here. This one could be interesting though. MARI, let's keep an eye on that. Target price would be 1980, but we need to have a pullback to justify a proper risk reward. So let's go from there, and I'll be back a little bit later, guys.